So what are you saying?
Nothing much, man. Just
So you were saying you watched A Star Is Born.
yes. So I watched Star Is Born.
So, that is a remake, but you've only seen the remake and I've only seen the old one.
Yes.
So we can't say shit about that, really.
So that's
Was
probably
it good?
That's probably a good place to start. I didn't even realise it was a remake. The remake is good. I enjoyed it. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I came into it thinking like, because I've seen all like the.
Why were you watching it then?
No,
it's not like you were forced into it. You watched
like,
it by yourself.
No, because I saw like all like all the people like, oh my god, this is amazing, like Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper singing, but then like I didn't really know the plot, and I looked into it and it was like, recovering alcoholic rock star, and I'm like, this sounds alright actually. I'll give this a watch, and it was like the music in it was very good, but the actual story was like. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was very surprised.
How were the Glastonbury scenes?
They were good, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember
very
them.
Good.
I remember. Excuse me. I'm professional.
To Glastonbury. Yeah.
I remember at the time because they actually filmed it during the actual festival.
Yeah.
And I guess they just took over a tent, and everyone kind of knew what the deal was. I'm not sure entirely, but it makes you think actually, because whenever they're doing festival scenes and movies or sports scenes, like this is going off the track, but have you ever seen the Van Damme movie? I can't remember the name of it, but it's the one where the terrorists take the vice president hostage in the middle of a hockey game.
No.
You've never seen it?
No.
Well, I'll do that as a review at one point.
Yeah,
It's fucking quality. Because basically Van Damme, we'll come back to that in a second, but Van Damme, he's a security guard at this hockey game and he gets his kids tickets to it.
Right.
And it was a real hockey game going on.
Okay.
And I think the reason it was so easy for them to... Well, the reason they had such good access was because the owner of... I don't know, the fucking something Ducks, whoever it was, wanted the exposure, so he was happy for them to come and film and do whatever. But in the movie, no one in the game knows that the stadium could blow up, because the vice president's in the box overlooking everything. So he's running around, and he's like, they're all like pretending to be the mascots. That's how they're getting around unnoticed. So he's like fighting mascots and stuff and killing them in the kitchen. Such a good movie. It's so stupid. But anyway, sorry, going back to A Star Is Born. So the Glastonbury scenes were good.
Do you know what? It was at Glastonbury in one of the tents, because at first I thought, like, I'm not being funny before you even said that. I thought it was kind of like a kind of CGI.
Did you think they recreated it?
Yeah. It was kind of like, Bohemian Rhapsody, when he goes out. I thought, right.
So you were thinking they had, like, the first 10 rows were real?
Yeah, I didn't know that, I didn't know that. And then when I look at it, it was like enclosed in a tent.
Say if you were the director and that was in the script and you were thinking, right, how am I going to do that? What would you think would be easier? Actually going to Glastonbury and relying on the fact that the festival goers will just go along with it? Or recreating it?
I think it would be easy to recreate, because if you went to a festival, like, obviously you get the live action there, but you're going to get absolute people that are just off their nut. Like, you're trying to do a take, like, fucking...
And you like, it's not like Glastonbury... It's not like Glastonbury need the exposure.
Well, you can tell it's Glastonbury. You can't really 100% tell it's Glastonbury, but judging by the tent thing...
Oh, did they not say it is?
No, not really.
Really? So there was, like, no point...
No, basically, it's just weird. Like... What happens is, the geezer Bradley Cooper goes into... He's going around looking for a drink, basically.
Yeah.
He's going around, like, it's his finished concert. He's a famous rock star. Then he picked up in a limo, and he's like, right, I need a drink. He's got a drink in the limo, he's down in it. He's going to his confidant, his basic limo driver that's there the whole film, like, take me to the nearest place to get more booze. So he goes in. I don't know what the original film was like. Yeah. But this must be like quite a... Yeah,
it was probably a martini.
He goes in, and it's basically like, it's weird. It's basically like a kind of like gay bar, transsexual bar. The guy at the door, they all know who he is. Like, you're blah blah blah. I don't know his name.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't think this is your kind of club. And he's like, do you serve booze? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, this is my kind of club. He goes in, and Lady Gaga, whatever her name is in the film, uses from names, is like a waitress, but she gets her shot.
Aspirations.
She gets her shot to sing on the night, and he kind of hears it, and they go out like boozing, and then he kind of like, because he's famous, like makes her famous as well.
Elevates her and all that
Yeah,
shit.
so they go around singing. So it was quite a good idea. I didn't realise it had been remade before, but yeah, that was. I enjoyed it, man.
Good. Well, anyway, fuck that movie.
Yes.
I remember, probably about 2 years ago now, me and Sophie were on our way to go watch the Lion King remake. We stopped off to say hello to you. This is the live action remake, obviously. And we stopped off to say hello to you, and you very passionately and angrily told us how it was going to be shit. You would never see a remake, and you were very dramatic and angry, and you refused to come with us.
Yeah.
And you said you hated remakes.
Yes.
So
I think we've even covered the Lion King before in our previous podcast, didn't we? We talked for like 10 minutes about
regarding remakes, have you changed your stance?
About this film particularly, or
no,
just
remakes
together? I'm gonna say still no, because I feel like it's just.
Well, it's obviously not quite that passionate because you do watch remakes. You just said a remake.
Right, no, but I'm just gonna say no because I just feel like on the part of like Hollywood studios, they're just devoid of ideas and just continuing to.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Cause
like
you mean the sentiment of why? Do you know the first time I got this feeling of this is getting ridiculous now?
Yeah.
And now this is going way back. Not way back as in like decades, but. The first time they were announcing that they were rebooting Spider-Man after the Sam Raimi first couple of Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
With that, what was that little geezer, Andrew Garfield?
Yeah, I didn't like that at all.
A horrible movie.
Yeah, it was so bad.
He wasn't a bad Spider-Man, to be fair. I actually liked that actor, but it was just horrible. And I had a prejudice going in.
Tobey Maguire, innit?
You like Tobey Maguire?
He's the best by far.
Tom Holland, and I don't know if it's that thing where, because I always have that feeling of like Tony Blair is the only prime minister because there ever was, because he was a prime minister when I was a kid. Yeah, and all these guys after are imposters, and it's the same thing with like the Pope, same thing with like the American president. It feels like that was the thing, and then everyone else after is just like pretending.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's that, but that was the first time when they announced they were rebooting Spider-Man. I was just like, what? They just did it. Just like, you made it. Let it live. Like, let it be there. And I don't know if that's what people who were, like, could remember the first Batman movies coming out felt like when, say, The Dark Knight got announced, or the Christopher Nolan ones got announced. But I remember just having this feeling of like, really? And it was around about the time when, for variety of reasons, won't get into it now because it's a lot of different reasons, but it was around about the time when the kind of movies that were coming out in the cinemas, like it was getting harder to make that middle of the road movie, like that sort of £50 million movie, and it was becoming all really small indie projects that would occasionally come through to the cinema, or big giant blockbusters.
Yeah.
So between that and the amount of remakes that were coming out, it started to feel like, say like between 20 and 10 years ago, it started to feel like there was less and less original ideas getting a chance to come to the screen. Yeah. And really, it's only got worse, because you look now, at first with like the likes of Netflix, and Netflix was, when Netflix became big, it was the only streaming. Yeah. And in a lot of people's eyes, they still really think of Netflix when they think of streaming TV, but Disney and Prime and things are really closing the gap, and arguably maybe Disney already has closed the gap, but
yeah, it's close.
At least Netflix was producing original content, and for a while they were producing the most original content. For the past couple of years, their movies have never really been good, other than a small handful, and the TV programs mostly miss, I would personally say, but they were trying. They, like Stranger Things, when they launched
Stranger Things. Yeah, you
all right,
could say that as
it's
a hit.
still, doing a homage. It's designed as a homage to 80s cinema.
Yeah.
But at least it was, it was launching a new mythology, a new idea behind it. But for them, see, my prediction is that Netflix will become the MySpace of the streaming giants, because, as in, they came in with the biggest thing, but then quickly died away and were overshadowed by new things. Hold on one sec. And because if you look at them, they have to try and create something new and sell you on the idea of it every time they create something. Whereas Disney come in, they can make, and you see them doing it now, they can make, dozens and dozens of Marvel spin-off TV shows.
Yeah.
Their classic, like Lion King, Bambi, all that shit, of that catalogue, they can make spin-offs and new shows for kids, and they can make Star Wars spin-off shows, and it has a ready built brand that people are going to buy. And it feels like it's never looked, considering the fact that it's so easy to buy a camera and have a little Final Cut package on your computer. Most people don't even buy it, they just nick it off the internet. And we should be in a time where you're seeing such easy access to create interesting movies with outside of a studio system, but it's just not that. If anything, it's harder than ever, and it just feels like the studios have got so good at recycling and milking the same old cash cows.
Well, didn't Disney basically sign a deal to remake all of their classics? So like Lion King.
Well, they've
done Mulan.
I think they've done them all already. What else do they need to do?
Aladdin,
They've done Dumbo. They've done
Jungle
Aladdin.
Book.
They've done Jungle Book.
Fucking hell.
Varying success. Lion King, I suppose, has been the biggest success.
I don't know about you. I haven't even seen the Jungle Book remake, but I heard it was decent.
Oh, I haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
I was talking more like at the box office.
Yeah.
And critically, but I haven't. I've seen The Lion King. It was. I mean, to be honest, the worst thing about it was the fact that it did look beautiful, but the worst thing about it was the fact that they didn't change anything.
Yeah.
Because I always feel like if you're gonna remake something, it should be like, I tell you a great example of a remake, really clever remake, is Blowout, and with John Travolta, and it's a Brian De Palma movie from the 70s.
Yeah.
Really good movie, and it's basically about John Travolta is a Foley artist, so he's a guy that works in movies, recording sound effects, and he's out in a late night, recording the sounds of a river by a highway.
Here's a murder.
And he accidentally records a murder.
Yes, I've seen it.
But it's a remake of a movie from the 50s. I can't remember who starred in it, who directed it, but in that movie, it's a photographer accidentally photographs a murder. Yeah. So that's a clever remake where you've changed it enough, where you kept the core idea, but you've changed it and put a new sort of bent on it. Whereas the Lion King remake, it was
shot for shot.
Literally, there was points where I remember that shot exactly from the cartoon original.
Yeah, but I just look.
It was just pointless.
I'm gonna be honest, Declan. I haven't seen. I still stand by my rant. I'm not coming to see it. And the reason I'm saying it is, obviously, let's be honest, that Lion King was released. The original was released when, in the 90s.
Yeah. I remember going to see it.
Yeah, it's got a certain
early 90s. 94, I think.
For us, we would have been around. Well, if it was 94, we would have been 3 years old, and you still remember seeing it. It's got a level of nostalgia, and humour to it that live action thing can never recreate. Do you know what I mean?
And also it was that same thing we were saying before about how the reason, the Prime Minister and the Pope and the President. Yeah. From your first one you remember is always the one you think of. It's like you're just they worked out the perfect formula for knowing how to squeeze every last penny out of our nostalgia for stuff.
Yeah.
Because we know deep down, it's not gonna be that good. Like, they're not doing anything new.
But
they're just making... They may as well have just re-released the old Lion King. But it wouldn't draw people back. But it's a better movie. And you kind of know that going in, but you still do it.
Do you think there's kind of an audience now? My question that I was thinking, or my thought that I was thinking, you know, like a new age audience that don't really want to watch that kind of like old school cartoonish bumbling around and would be like, what's this?
Cartoon.
Like, I want to see like proper lions.
See, I don't know, because obviously that would... You'd be better off asking parents, because that... I mean, that's simple. I would say it's a combination of a bit of that, but also... Because I love old school cartoons, but...
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily more expensive, but I know it's definitely more time consuming.
Yeah. Because they do it on a computer versus like drawing. Basically.
Yeah, but I suppose you could surely do a fake, like a faux art, sort of traditional cartoon in a computer. I'm assuming like that must be a thing. But I'm guessing it's just not as it's just not as alluring for whatever reason, which is a shame, because I do love like the Pixar style of animation.
Yeah.
But I also love like even anime in Japan is kind of going that way now. Like what's that famous Studio Ghibli?
Yeah.
They've started releasing these horrible, like, it's really bad CGI as well, really bad CGI animated films that look like dog shit. And it is a shame, because it is something so beautiful about traditional animation.
What would be another question on this? I don't really want to delve too much into Disney, because we could probably talk about this for...
Well, we're going to have to be honest, if
the
we're
whole
talking about
time.
remakes.
What would be absolute blasphemy, in your opinion, if they touched it? Like Lion King...
Absolute blasphemy.
Give or miss, but if they mess with Toy Story, the original, I would go mad.
Well, it kind of...
like...
Again, it would be like,
film.
what... Because at least it wasn't... I don't agree that it was a reason to remake it, but at least the live-action remakes... Yeah. Do you know what I mean? There's a thing they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, there's an angle to it. What would they do with Toy Story? Do a live-action remake? What would be your Blasphemous thing? Toy Story?
I think... I'm not even talking about Toy Story.
I mean, there's obvious ones, like The Godfather.
Yeah, I know that, like, but that can't be touched, in my opinion. Like.
But you know, you never, like...
But then they done The Departed, didn't they? With Internal Affairs Departed.
Yeah, but that was... Yeah, but again, that was from, that was a Western
different country.
remake.
Yeah. Which was good.
Well, I tell you, the most pointless one ever was the Gus Van Sant remake of Psycho, because he did it exactly shot for shot. Like, literally every single frame was the exact same.
I'm just trying to think what would be like...
Well, I mean, there's tons that would be ridiculous.
I was going to bring it up later, but one that really pissed me off was Old Boy with Josh Brolin.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's I don't necessarily agree that Western remakes of Asian or any other country's movies are necessary, but also, again, it's kind of like you can understand there's an angle for it. There is a certain amount of people that just won't watch Asian movies that require subtitles.
Probably can't even read the subtitles.
Yeah, but also...
Like, what is this?
Also,
this isn't English.
I do kind of think like the kind of people that wouldn't watch it wouldn't probably watch a movie like that anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's a weird one as well, because that's another one where you think, what's the point? Because you know when you're doing a remake where it's literally the same, like you're not changing anything, you don't have a clever twist. Because there are movies where I think that would be a good remake, and the ironic thing about it is that, you know, obviously they remake movies that are already good because they know people will go to see it because they already think that movie's good, and they won't remake the movies that were bad but had a good idea because they were bad in the first place.
Yeah.
So the logically the movies they should remake, they're never gonna remake, really.
Well,
it's hardly ever gonna happen.
Yeah.
Although saying that, there's obviously great, like the original remakes were like the original sort of rare, high quality remakes were remakes of great movies. Like Scarface, the original, was considered a great movie. The Thing from Another Planet, that became The Thing.
That's been remade 3 times, isn't it? 3 different versions.
Is it? Oh, you're talking about... There was a prequel.
Yeah, there's been...
That wasn't a remake, though. That was a prequel. But,
right, okay.
But the Thing from Another Planet was a great... Howard Hawks, brilliant
obviously
the
best one was John Carpenter.
Yeah, no, I do prefer that one. But, it's not like... Like, there's certain movies, like, I always think... And a lot of people love this movie. You ever seen Maximum Overdrive?
I'm not going to lie, it rings a bell, no.
Well, it was, you were talking about Stephen King earlier. It's a Stephen King directed movie, which going off on a slight tangent for a second. This was when Stephen King basically, he was coked out of his head making this movie. And it was around the time when a couple of adaptations had been attempted of his books.
Yeah.
And he was basically, didn't like any of the adaptations, and he decided he was going to make a movie himself to try and, create his real image of his horror on the screen, because everyone else was messing it up. And it was also around the time when he's always had he's slagged off like the art of filmmaking quite a lot and the art of screenwriting, and he has made some of the most he's written the scripts for and directed, well, he's only directed one movie, but some of the most god awful movies. We'll talk about that another time. There's a Stephen King movie that he wrote the script for that is honestly one of the biggest piles of shit ever. And I just find it funny that he slags off filmmaking and screenwriting so much. But he slags it off for something that he says is so supposedly so inferior to novel writing. He's not very good at it when he tries to do it. But anyway, sorry. This movie he directed, Maximum Overdrive, it's a hilarious premise where basically there's a comet going over, and I think it comes out at the end that it was possibly aliens, but basically all technology starts getting a life of its own and starts trying to kill us. Yeah. So like a toaster will be trying to kill you. If you have an electric turkey carver, it will start like trying to slice you up. Cars and trucks will start trying to mow you down. And it's a hilarious premise, but it's just a goofy movie. It's quite boring in the middle for long stretches. A lot of the characters and like possibilities are kind of wasted. Even the idea isn't consistent. Like for some reason, cars don't get taken over, and you can still drive them around, but trucks do get. Okay. And it's just, and it's quite like obviously at a small budget probably, but it's isolated to one petrol garage the whole time, and it's just one of those things where it's such a cool premise, and you think like someone like Robert Rodriguez to do a remake of it and just take the premise and go wild with it. That's a movie that would be perfect for a remake.
So obviously in Stephen King's Let's Not Kid Ourselves, genius brain. Yeah. He got it down on paper, but he couldn't transfer it onto film, what he wanted. So that basically sums it up. I just had a thought, Declan. This didn't really come into my thinking before you brought up Stephen King. We've talked about The Thing, haven't we? Yeah. It remake.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was very good.
I mean, the original was
that was weird.
Well, no, when
that count?
When I say the remake was good, the first one was brilliant.
The second one was quite shit. Yeah.
The second one was fucking dog shit.
Yeah, the first one was very good. Yeah.
First one was brilliant, and I really liked the tone of it as well because it felt like the scariest Disney movie ever. Do you know what I mean? Like it had a style to it where it felt like
it was just like a giddy.
Yeah, it was like it reminded you of being young and adventure with your kids. And I don't know if it came out before or after Stranger Things, but obviously it kind of captured that same thing, but better in my opinion. Like the first one was. And I do love Tim Curry in the original, but you watch the original, it is a bit ropey at points. Like, it is, it's a bit dated. It's a TV special, but it's fun for what it was. But the remake was class. The second one, dog shit.
Another thing that's just popped into my head, absolute blasphemous film to try and remake, in my opinion, E.T. can never be touched.
Yeah.
It was just the perfect films together. If they tried to make that 20 years down the line, it could not. But I reckon they could try, like, one day, like...
See, I don't know if they try that, because the problem with E.T. is, it's not like... That's a concept you can...
Yeah, you could easily do that.
I don't know. No, I think that's a concept that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Because you're selling it on the emotion of it. It's not bombastic and action-packed.
Yeah.
Like, War of the Worlds is something you couldn't remake every 10 years forever.
That's another one. Forgot about that one.
E.T. is... It's the like, you have to sell the emotion of it. People aren't coming to E.T. because they're like, whoa, the special effects are going to be mental.
But if you're talking about it being bombastic and action-packed, could they possibly ever try an Indiana Jones kind of remake later on down the line?
Yeah, and they probably will do. They're probably... Well, they've done enough
sequels.
I'm pretty sure when they had Shia LaBeouf in the fourth one, as his little, like... Was he his son?
Son
slash sidekick.
Yeah, son or
they were definitely...
sidekick.
They were trying to set that up as... They were trying to set him up as, like, to take over the series, I think.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work.